Sam O'Grady.
Mr. Ramshackle.
I'm so pleased to have you on. I was joking with Sam. We actually wasted half of the podcast talking beforehand, which is why I have a strict rule, to sort of not talk before. But here we are. How you been?
I've been good.
Good. Bloomington, Indiana still?
Still in Bloomington.
The creative hub of Indiana, some people would say.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. But, I mean, yeah.
Okay. So what I know about your current plate is that you have Gozu, which is, I think you described it as a noir noise rock project.
Yeah.
I've seen it live at a festival that we played together. It was amazing. If I recall, you swallowed my entire microphone.
Yes, I was attempting a sort of Burmese python thing.
Like snake charmer India thing?
Yeah, or like sword swallower thing. It's like, what noise will this make if I do this?
There was no flame, though, so we've got 2 of the 3 freak show circus
thing. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to set a microphone on fire, especially not yours.
Why, it was like sacrilegious or something? Like you have to respect the instrument? Like using the king's scepter to kill the jester is kind of a misuse of funds.
If I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that to my own mic. I'm not going to do that to someone else's.
It's respectful. It's one of the reasons I like you, Sam. You have a respectful attitude in your insanity.
If I'm going to be insane, I may as well have one positive aspect going for it.
Well, I've always been a fanboy of yours, but I want to tell you this story. There was a band from out of town called St. Louis, and when Gozu was performing, and he's a world-class guitar player, and he came up to me and he said, "This guy is fucking incredible."
Question: They were called St. Louis, or they were from?
They were from St. Louis. I'm sorry, did I say they were called St. Louis?
I think you said they were called St. Louis, which I mean, like, goddamn, you got like a whole city named after. Well,
right.
There's Chicago, I guess.
Well, but the thing is they're competing bands East St. Louis, and so they're just always fucked. Because everybody thinks that St. Louis the band is East St. Louis the band.
I wonder who won the battle of the bands in that one.
East St. Louis. East St. Louis don't fuck around. East St. Louis is like a war zone, man. Okay.
I don't doubt it.
So, and you also mentioned you might be doing a pop album this summer. Like you said, you had like 6 or 8 tracks.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm somebody who likes to have his fingers in a lot of different pies, and just because I enjoy noise rock and anarchic, experimental drone shit as much as I enjoy pop music, or certain kinds of pop music, whatever one describes as pop. I like Merzbow as much as I like the Beatles, and I figured, okay, well, if I'm doing the noise rock thing on one hand, can I, just as a personal experiment, can I actually make a...
Can you compartmentalize?
Can I compartmentalize, and can I make a pop album? Can I actually even do a pop album without making it cliche, for lack of a better term, without just following a standard formula for how a pop album should sound? I mean, whatever you...
No, I completely understand. And, I heard a song of yours called Swim Away recently, which I think was going more into that pop direction of yours. And I actually said on my Facebook page it was my favorite song of 2025. So
thank you kindly.
Well, cool. Well, let's get off of the Sam O'Grady stuff, because like I always say, this isn't, a music podcast, but because I am such a fan of your artistic spirit. Here we go, Sam O'Grady. The reason I kind of consider this one of my first serious podcasts, and I'm going to explain that, because you're an artist and you're a creative entity that I admire greatly, because I believe that you are not only in the arts for self-gratification or for ego or pride. I think that you authentically have a desire to express things creatively for the betterment of the arts and micro and the whole world in the macro.
Sure.
You're not doing it to get chicks. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if you're doing that to get chicks, you might have picked the dumbest position. If you're making
then there's like 90% of the artistic population that have made a horrible decision.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you're trying to like get laid through the arts, you've picked the dumbest route of doing it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but so that's my first setup, because I think that you genuinely are what I would call an artist, and I think that you approach it with a certain gravitas and respect that is lacking. The second thing is that once we start on this podcast talking about some what I consider to be serious topics concerning humanity's future and fate and all of that, I also know that you care. What I'm tired of a lot are people saying, well, that's just the way it is, or that's how politics goes, or what can you do? And they do that because they have found their comfortable little dark corner where they can exist, and they can... I've been watching a lot of stuff lately online, and what scares me more than a totalitarian fascist empire is the look on the face of people who are participating in protest without actually caring if it works or not. So I see all of these people screaming left or right, rah, 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 Minnesota this, whatever this.
Sort of automatic kind of going with the flow because because for some reason they feel like they have to do that without actually believing in it. Sort of ideal.
It's like what you're saying. It's like watching the physical manifestation of a demon called powerlessness. And instead of it actually being productive, and instead of it being rational and communal and helpful, all I see now is respect and pride and kudos being given to people who are destructive.
Yes.
We've had Charlie Kirk. We've had 2 attacks on Trump. We've had a liberal woman shot in Minnesota by a federal agency. We've had violence. We have immigration, people being rousted. There is all this partisanship.
Yeah.
So that is the majority of what I want to talk to you about today. And I'm going to get very specific. I've talked too much now, so I want your thoughts on the notion of the modern idea of involving yourself in political solutions as being one that's basically just self-aggrandizement through violence instead of rational compassion.
Wow, we're going with the hard shit, right?
I told you this wasn't going to be about music, dude.
No.
Do you at least agree with me that that's
no,
really...
I do agree with you on that.
And where does it come from? Like,
well,
what is it? Is it just easier to be that?
I do think on some level, my long-held attitude on that has sort of been that I think people do find it easier to... How do I phrase this? That people find it easier to bark than to love. Yeah. And not to say that like love solves everything. I'm not a believer in that Beatles song. If any, I'm more a Trent Reznor guy. So love is not enough. But I do because genuine love, genuine real love takes a lot of effort. It takes
a lot of compassion.
I think maybe that's a part of where that's a big aspect of where we're at today. It is pardon me. I stammer. So I think especially ever since COVID, we've experienced this very aggressive compassion and empathy death in society.
He said death, by the way. That kind of trailed at the end, but he said compassion, empathy, death.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure they caught it.
Gotcha. Understood. No, compassion and empathy death, where due to, I don't know, unforeseen circumstances or due to like just the stress of life, people, I don't know, just very largely, generally speaking, I feel like people have, when convenience is taken away from them and the normality of the routine of life, the programming has been upset, people kind of flip their shit.
And they revert back to the caveman primate response of just violence and make sure the fire's still burning when the saber-toothed tigers are crawling around the outside.
Exactly. Or even even if it's something that can be, I don't know, handled with relative ease and simplicity. I don't know what it is.
But that's the ego part for me, because
yes,
what we're going to go into after this initial introduction to the topic of the podcast is that I actually believe that all human problems could be solved in one day. And I mean that. And from the time I was 12 years old, I've always believed that if the world just stopped, just stop for a second. Don't kill somebody in your neighborhood. Don't go to work. Don't vote on a bill in Washington, D.C. or Brussels or anything. If we all just as human beings decided to just stop and say, what are the concrete problems and the solutions to those? And what are the things that are completely and uniquely not compromisable so that we can all coexist? And then once we figured out all those, the rest goes away. So here's, if I could just dovetail on your thing about people.
Sure.
America has this very luxurious status of us all being able to feel like we're part of the largest dysfunctional family on earth. Right?
Incredibly accurate, actually.
And like, so I can go into a Walmart and I can have an African American guy with dreads that reeks of marijuana come up to me and talk to me about how much he hates his boss. Or I can go into a bar and hear insurance salesman talking about how his wife is just nagging all of the time to strangers. And so there's almost this kind of like, when you rebel against mom and dad and there's no real consequence, maybe you're grounded for a week or something. And when I see all of these, particularly the Minnesota thing, I'll just use that as the current example.
Sure.
I see a lot of people who think that unacceptable activity should be allowed. And I wonder where that comes from, because protest is not violence. And protest is not physically entering yourself into a situation that is already extremely tense and violent. And I see this obliviousness to the reality of a situation to the point where when I see this unfortunate woman who was shot as a kind man, and again, remember, you're here because I believe you actually care. I sit there and I go, what on earth was she expecting? Was she just thinking she could get in between men with handguns? Is our American life that easy that she actually thought that there wasn't going to be a chance of a catastrophe?
That's maybe another aspect of that, where I just said a bunch of fucking nothing words right there. Well, I don't know. Showing...
I love the fact that you're actually thinking before you're speaking.
Well, I mean, one, this is going to be out in public, and I don't want to put my fucking foot in my mouth.
Sure.
It makes me think, like... Now, obviously, I know nothing about Renee Good. Never fucking met her and didn't know about her until, unfortunately, she was shot by a fucking ICE agent. I wonder if... And... I wonder if the thinking might have been that it could have been a sort of Tiananmen Square type of thing, where you are able to put yourself into the middle of that protest, but you are... I don't know, because like sometimes that form of protest, if you are going into that, you do have to have... I do agree, you have to have a sense of like you're potentially sacrificing yourself really hard.
Well,
for
a
statement, and the statement was made. Fucking ICE doesn't give a shit about you. ICE.
I would also,
and I wish
say,
it didn't have to come to that.
I would also say, just because oftentimes I play the devil's advocate, and remember, I'm an anarchist. So, like, I'm blissfully free of caring about one side or the other's agenda. I'm just looking for solutions.
Sure.
And the thing is that I don't think Renee Good cared about the law. And I don't think that she cared that her being in a couple of ton vehicle could actually mistakenly cause disruption and danger in the community. And so I see that. Obviously, I don't think this woman should have been killed.
No, absolutely, obviously not.
But obviously, a vehicle should not be used to make a point.
I see.
I mean, can we at least agree on that? Or do you think that it's right for her to physically obstruct armed men who are on the way to accomplish their legal mandate? Now, if the law is right or wrong, that's up to anybody. But they were legally, performing the function that the representatives of America voted. Their representatives, how the system works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And that's how just fucking befuddled the whole situation is.
I see exactly what you mean, and I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. I will say I'm also trying to come at this from I don't know what the hell you would call me politically. I guess like left, I suppose, but even then,
I wouldn't even call you left. I would call you a compassionate human being who has more faith in their fellow humans to need some sort of an authoritarian control over society.
Well, yes.
Doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
Maybe that's another part of why I'm so disinterested in, especially like current day, or maybe this has probably just always been the fucking case, but like I'm so disinterested in the absolutist pigeonholing of political views and political ideologies. Not to say I don't have, like, you can't have an ideology. I absolutely have an ideology.
They're your concrete, this never changes because this is how I believe the world should be.
No, yes, exactly. And
we all have them.
No, exactly. I want my compassion to guide my compassion guides my ideology. I would hope. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't want to just go into these weird absolutist, like, black and white, like for me to, like, I'm leftist, I'm a socialist, and therefore I think this, and this. It's like, well, I suppose you could say that about me, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know, man.
But what's great, what's great about you is that, you know, we can actually talk about those divides without it becoming just instantly violent and confrontational. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is that, you know, one of the biggest crimes against humanity that I view about this Minnesota situation is that there are people benefiting from both sides. And when I think of the Renee Good woman and all of the other people out there with great hearts that are trying to say these are human beings, what they're trying to say is, sure, they're here illegally, but they're a part of our community. Can we resolve this in a way that protects compassion and
protect humanity? Yeah.
And what the other side is saying is they're saying, you know, we're not going to harm these people. We're not going to shoot them or put them in gulags like Alexander Solzhenitsyn or Cuba and stuff like this. But they have to go because if you're not a society of laws, then no law matters. And I'm just going to go out and shoot children. And so there's this bull thing. Yeah. And what frustrates me, and then I'll shut up and let you go back because I know I kind of jumped in there.
No, it's so.
But what frustrates me is I see all of these people, and then I see the funding behind them. And I see these shadowy people who are literally profiting that don't give a shit about Renee Good. Is it Renee Good?
Yeah, Renee Good.
Or the Somalians, quite frankly. And the people that are funding ICE and all that. And they don't particularly care if entire neighborhoods have been taken over by cartel gangs and that people are scared to go out into their backyard because they're living in motherfucking Boca Raton or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hate that people are allowing themselves to be killed in Minnesota because these people are engineering political and societal strife.
Absolutely.
Like, I just want them all to stop and go, wait, these are the motherfuckers.
There's an old Bill Hicks bit where he talks about, like, you know, someone said, the puppet to the left is more to my liking. The puppet to the right is more to my liking. Wait a minute, they're being held by the same guy. And I think that is becoming more and more true. Maybe not more and more true. It's always been true. But
it's been perfected.
More obvious and more, like, in our face.
Right. And what's wild is that the suckers who are actually being manipulated by all of these little shadowy motherfuckers are actually kind of like, yeah, we are, but we're still the soldiers. Like, fuck yeah. Like, fuck yeah. Like they've given up that rational ability to kind of say something different that other than just... I was driving down the street in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was driving down and there were a whole bunch of middle-aged to elderly white people in clothing protesting ICE in Minnesota. And I looked around to my son and I said, wow, there's a very sharp demographic disparity here in this protest, right? But God bless them. Sure, they're doing their thing. Sure. But then I watched the signs and I'm driving by and one of them said, an ICE badge is simply a participation trophy for men with small cocks. Okay. And then I saw another one that said ICE equals Gestapo. And then I saw another one that said Nazi fucking this or Nazi fucking that. And nowhere in there did I see a sign that said, hey, this is a terrible situation. Let's work together.
I see. Yeah.
What happened to Martin Luther King? Nonviolence. What happened to Gandhi? You know, what happened to, you know, and they had their flaws.
Sure.
But what happened to when did protests just become weaponized so that somebody like George Soros or somebody like the Republican masterminds, like, we could use the population and then laugh while they're drinking?
I don't know if I could say what exactly happened.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I think I'm the youngest man who's been on this podcast to date, so I don't quite have the sense of history that maybe others have brought to this podcast. But I was, like, seeing Trump get elected for, like, back in 2016. It was so jarring to me. And mind you, like that probably sounds fucking naive as shit. I was like, what, 20 when that happened?
You're not allowed to apologize on this podcast for your statements, Sam. Didn't you get the memo? No.
I don't know. I will anyway because that's what I do. But I mean, it was jarring. Like here's a like. Because I was under the impression, like, okay, like, even if people are going to be saying, like, incendiary shit, they're going to be saying it in a coded, covert manner. And he's like, nah, fuck the... Like, he's just blunt and right out, like, kind of out the gate with
more shit comes out of his mouth before he has time to process it. And it's kind of like he thinks, well, if I say 2 right things, the other 12 things will be forgotten.
Sure.
It's a bloviating cow.
Yes.
Technique.
Exactly. No,
or a flutist with a COVID mask on.
And there's nice. No, I think it's so jarring to me because or not even, it was jarring to me, and sadly it doesn't jar me as much now. Yeah. It's become this weird new abnormal that what you were talking about earlier, like the disheartening thing is how it's the powers that be are so much more obvious and more apparent, and yet people are still gunning for it. It's disheartening to me because, like, when I was growing up, I thought, like, okay, well, whatever political position you have, I thought that at least we could agree, like, okay, well, right or left, like, can we at least agree no billionaires in power? And now it's like this hard absolutist bullfighting that you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's all around the world, man. I mean, the mafia controls the world. Like, I try to tell a lot of my American friends that, but I mean, pretty much just the mafia. Like, they went underground after, like, the Sicilian mob and the Italian situation with Giuliani got rid of all of them. But like the power right now of the worldwide mafia and the screws they can turn on people in elected power is phenomenal to me. I've seen whole cities in Europe that are basically just places to launder drug money.
I mean, dude, mafia or not, I will say, like never underestimate the power of the American propaganda machine. It is a well-oiled, well-maintained fucking machine.
Yeah.
And
and they started with Sugar Smacks in the 80s. I mean, they got us all, programmed to, like, consume the worst possible food possible because there's a smiling little fucking mascot on a box of fucking shit. Of course we're going to say, oh yeah, Greenland, we want it.
Manipulation is that seems to have become like one of the key virtues of modern life is manipulation.
People almost glorifying it.
Mm-hmm.
When I see a dude with an American flag, like, t-shirt, I get really twitchy.
Dude, fucking same here.
Because any soldier that ever fought for America would say that was disrespectful. And now it's like they're saying, no, this is my tattoo.
It's so
These are my papers.
It's that, to me, like, that's it's surreal almost, like this conflating of two things that shouldn't mesh, and yet these people have made it mesh.
Yeah.
Have manifested this through this surreal conflating of things. It has manifested, and it's been there from the start, but have like really brought to the forefront, manifesting the hideous, ugly truth of aggressive capitalist America. There we go with more buzzwords coming out of my fucking mouth.
No, man, trademark.
But this whole thing of, like, it's becoming more and more apparent, and how much manipulation runs things,
and self-delusion.
Self-delusion.
There is a lot of self-delusion. As long as I can say I am this thing, Republican, Christian, pro-abortion,
and there's
whatever.
Not, in some ways, there's not even like an attempt to even like play compassion. There's not even an attempt to fake compassion or fake, like, I'm a human being like you guys and I'm really doing this from the heart.
You said you were young. Believe it or not, there was a time where if somebody said that you were a Nazi, you would either be punched immediately
Sure.
Or you would be like you would be like, okay, little mind or little quasi fuck, like that thinks you have something important to say. And now it's the first thing. Like, I mean, if people really understand, I mean, my grandfather helped prosecute the Nazis at Nuremberg, right? There is a distinct difference. Now, are there horrible sides to American imperialism and all that? Absolutely. Don't get me started.
Oh fuck.
Okay.
We've been started on it.
Okay, so we kind of went off into what I would call kind of like general territory there, just on the thing. So I want to like dial in because I want your opinions on very specific things.
Sure.
Okay. There is the overarching thing for me with particularly American political activism and involvement, but also worldwide, is I keep going back to the word powerlessness.
Yes.
And I think that there has been such a good job just kind of rubbing
Almost learned helplessness.
well, intentional.
Intentional. Yes.
Yeah, because how much faith does somebody have that they actually own their property anymore? This is my house, but I have property taxes, so the government can take it any day.
Yeah.
Or I have a job, and I'm going to be able to work there for 45 years. No, you get fired in 2 days because there's another motherfucker that'll do it for you. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I've seen that happen. I've seen shit like that happen like literally yesterday.
Go for it. Tell the story.
Oh God, I don't even know. Well, I mean, hey, it literally just because of the powers that be, powers over me, and I don't know. No, one of the jobs I work at, a couple days ago, there were conversations being had about layoffs because
I do that just because sometimes it shuts down. So sorry.
Sure. Literally a couple days ago, we were having conversations about layoffs because like one of the jobs I work at just isn't making the money it thought it would be making
The ups
right
and
now.
down of an economy.
Fucking exactly. And because of that, now there is more stress on a lot of me and my coworkers. Like, okay, we don't want to get laid off, so we're gonna like make sure we're on it.
There's less of you. Do more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and literally yesterday, one of my friends, who I would say was a remarkably productive coworker, was fired over. I don't know. I'm not naming names because I understand that the issue is larger than I might be making it out from. But from my perspective, it seemed like kind of piddly shit.
Okay.
And also, I don't know. I don't like yammering about my problems to people who don't necessarily fucking care. Yeah. Which is, I mean, just the internet. What do I know?
You're just telling a story, man.
I'm just telling a story. Also, I don't. No. But because of that, there is now a greater sense of stress and distrust.
Tension.
Tension. There we are.
The stuff that kills every guy at 64 years old right before retirement because they've lived a whole life of just constant sort of Damocles. My life might be over and my paycheck's gone tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And there's an artist I really love, Eugene S. Robinson of the band Oxbow. Oxbow, big influence.
You've mentioned them to me before.
One of my favorite bands. I'd say they're a huge influence on me and definitely on Gozu Gang. But
check out Oxbow.
But well, they broke up a couple of years ago, and Eugene S. Robinson is now living in Spain. I'm trying to remember the exact area of Spain, but is now an expat. And because he does a lot of podcasts, and I follow his newsletter, and he said like part of the reason I left America is like I literally cannot, like, I'm getting old and I cannot afford to get old in America right now.
This country will fucking crush you.
Yeah.
Being married to a woman from not America and like having a lot of friends that are immigrants to this country, there's an amazing disconnect between how somebody who was born in America sees the American experience, because like you and I are totally understanding that we might go to the gas station tonight and get fucking shotgunned.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Dude, even if living in Bloomington, a considerably more blue part of the red state that is Indiana, like even then, there are points where I leave my apartment and like I don't ever.
You're scared.
I don't ever want to assume the worst of my neighbors, and to be honest, I don't. I assume my neighbors are just dudes like me, just trying to get by. But I mean, then I'll see someone with a huge Trump sticker or a support our troops sticker or whatever, and on one level it's like, okay, he's just a dude, he's just a neighbor, nothing's gonna happen. But it's like on some level, I don't know if I trust my neighbors. And
Well,
I think that's just that's a bit of the American experience. Unless you're fucking wealthy and rich enough to fucking have like decent housing, and even then,
Yeah, but that's just seclusion. I mean, you're basically just like separating yourself from the society that you're milking for your fucking ability to separate yourself from society, right? It's like there will be blood, right? He just says, I don't like people. I just want to make enough money so I can never fucking see them again.
dude. If that ain't the fucking American way, like you want to feel safe, seclude yourself as best as you can.
Good fences make good neighbors.
Exactly, fucking hell.
Who was the African American beat? He wasn't a beat poet, but he wrote a play called Fences. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I actually,
but Langston Hughes.
that was Langston Hughes.
If I'm incorrect on that, somebody correct me. But that's the name.
I feel like Langston Hughes didn't do. Well, I mean, what do I know? I fucking.
So when you're walking down the street in Bloomington, Indiana, you get twitchy and kind of scared because somebody has a support the troops sticker. I just wanted to make sure I clarified the feeling. Because that's a totally valid anxiety I have because America's a fucking horror show.
Well, that's the thing. And when I say that, I'm not like. That's the thing. I'm obviously trying to not make that immediate assumption because obviously some dude saying support the troops. I mean, that's where the anxiety comes from. Is like, what do you mean by that, buddy?
Do you like me?
Yeah.
I support our troops.
See, I like, but I also, so I know you, Sietch,
right? And
I didn't know that about you, but that doesn't change my opinion of you because I know you enough that I get your ideology enough that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But then there are some dudes where that ideology is a lot more hard, a lot more aggressive, and a lot more.
It's just a veil for homophobia or something. You know what I mean?
Or something like exactly. Yeah. So seeing something like that, like seeing that kind of sign will get me like, this could go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Or one of a bunch of different ways. I don't fucking know. And
it's probably equivalent to the fear that a lot of people in suburbs have when somebody pulls next to them in a red light blaring Dr. Dre. because I mean if you think about it, right, it's just it's a disjointed experience that this person's here just enjoying a piece of music, but to that person's perception of what thing is, that's that dangerous music or whatever.
Sure.
No, so they got to be selling drugs and killing people in their bathtubs, Sam. Don't you know? I mean, open your eyes.
That's the only way you can enjoy it. Like, if you enjoy music like that, that's the only choice.
Yeah. You can only listen to rap music now if you have 4 felonies. That's going to be one of our first laws.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm going to check my video real quick, make sure it's still rolling. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's actually an interesting. If I can pivot a bit of the conversation in one direction, because I, as an artist and as somebody who has grown up from day one loving the arts, as a guy who, like, if I can dedicate my life to one thing, it is the arts, because I believe the arts have the power to save people.
So let's dig
arts
deeper.
Genuinely have the power to save people.
The arts is your tool in your toolbox. What I'd say is that I think that you're actually protecting humanity's special uniqueness in the universe. And the art is the only way that you have found, and I'm putting words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the arts is the tool that humanity can express something other than just ooga booga, primate, death, kill my neighbors so that I get the prettier girl, so that I breed more, fucking just the reptilian base level of humanity. And that's why I meant that you're on this podcast today, because you care. Because I believe you care about the arts because you care about human existence.
Exactly. I'd phrase I wouldn't have phrased it like that, but I mean, that is it. No, you're right. And part of the reason I think the arts has the ability to save people is through experiencing art from a variety of different perspectives, especially those outside of your own. Just as a couple examples, like couple movies. One of my favorite films of all time is Synecdoche, New York.
Schenectady.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine got married there. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, it's a weird town.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. It's Synecdoche, New York. It takes place in Schenectady.
Oh, like Schenectady?
Yes, Synecdoche. Yeah.
Okay.
And like, for those who don't, like, a Synecdoche is like it's like a literary term where like a part of something is being used to represent a whole of something. So if
Gotcha.
like if I said nice set of wheels, I'm talking about the car, not just the wheels. which is prevalent to
I love I always learn something from you that I never knew.
Well, there you go. And that plays into the main conceit and idea of Synecdoche, New York. And I love that film. I find myself relating to the main character, or to not even the main character, to other characters, or to moments or things that have happened in that happened in that film that speak to my experiences as a human being.
Isn't it wonderful when you can find a movie where you can tell the person that crafted the story loved life and people?
Yeah, or was vulnerable, or at the very least is vulnerable enough with themselves to, because I mean, I'll be quite honest, the main character is not necessarily admirable.
Yeah, but they're the best.
The main character in Synecdoche, New York, truthfully, is often quite pathetic, often quite selfishly motivated, and kind of a dick. But I mean,
so an accurate portrayal of human beings.
But well, that's the thing, is like you got to be for the artist to be vulnerable enough to acknowledge that aspect in the main character and yet still sympathize with them. Was able to get me to recognize those aspects in myself, recognize those aspects in myself. I think it is an important thing in art to hold a mirror up to the audience, and sometimes you got to do that in a way where the audience doesn't necessarily like what they're looking at.
Thank God. One of the things I was going to talk to you about was the notion of the artistic community being a little disconnected from the realities of life with billions of people on a globe. And I think a lot of time artists purposefully put up walls between things that are reality to the majority of the human race because they're in this little bubble that they can just sort of condemn or judge or prioritize what's important for people as opposed to letting people figure it out.
Exactly.
So
Relating to that, Synecdoche, New York, one of my favorite films. The experience is pretty, like, just to get an idea, it is an experience.
Sam is also a real big film file. I don't know what the term. Cinephile.
Film buff, whatever you want to.
This guy knows more about movies than Quentin fucking Tarantino. Okay, go.
Movies are the pistol I'll put against my temple every night.
So when you're watching the film.
So it is from a perspective.
That went by so quick.
What can I say? But it is from the perspective of a probably neurodivergent middle-class white guy living in New York City. And that is an experience I maybe relate to closer than with another one of my favorite movies, La Haine, which deals with, a bunch of, white guys, but also like black communities in the ghettos of France during the 90s. It is a much more hard, kind of vicious, ugly, brutal, truthful look at that kind of life, but one that I find equally compelling. Similarly, Pink Flamingos. Fucking love it. And that's a movie where an obese transvestite chows down on some dog shit off of a street in Baltimore.
Okay. Another day in Baltimore.
Like, one maybe resonates with me more personally.
Sure.
One is maybe a bit more grotesque spectacle.
In your face, dramatic.
But I still find all three pieces of art incredibly valuable incredibly valuable pieces of art, and I will fight that they all deserve to exist and deserve to be talked about and treated as art and deserve to be discussed and looked at.
That's why you're my friend, Sam. Two quick stories for you, just because we're having a conversation.
Sure.
I had a very, very artistic friend way back in the day, long before anybody had heard of Sietch Ramshackle or anything like this. This is when I was a young man, and I had already gone through very, very many interesting life experiences and all of this stuff. But he was a poet, and at the time, I was trying to craft myself as an author or a short story writer or something like this.
Sure.
And we were walking down the street one time, and this guy with a business suit walked past us. And classic artist thing, he leaned over to me and goes, "This fucking motherfucker." Right? And I looked at him and I said, "Man, you don't know if that guy's composing a fucking opera in his head right now. Like, you don't know if that guy's thinking about, how much he's going to donate to help AIDS victims in Africa. Or so. Like, you don't know anything about that dude's entire internal galaxy."
Sure. And, that's a bit of my immediate gut reaction in some, I don't know, some ways, both of those. Sorry, go on.
No. And then the second one, which I just kind of forgot, but it was something similar. But I always hear this notion that it's just so tricky. So it was that notion of compassion and stuff that I was trying to dial into, and you saying these different experiences. And I heard a bunch of people talking once at a coffee shop one day. I forget where I was, but they were laughing because some girl, like in Carmel, killed herself from online bullying.
Jesus,
and they
fucking Christ.
Well, and they were saying something like, "Oh yeah, she had such a hard life. She was in fucking like white bread land, and her daddy was probably a millionaire, and all of this stuff." And they were just completely diminishing this person, and they were diminishing her pain. And so I talked to my son about that, and I said, "Look, suffering is universal. And if this caramel white privileged woman felt so much suffering because Bobby made fun of her on social media enough to kill herself, that amount of suffering and anguish is exactly equitable to an African guy who every day wakes up and feels like his family's going to be macheted. Not the action, not the environment, but the suffering, the anguish that was felt. Because if you get to the point where you're done, that's a sacred place to be. You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying.
And that bonds that woman to that African guy. You see what I'm saying?
I do think with that there should be conversation to be had about that's the kind of like human compassion thing I'm talking about, of being I don't know, that is empathy, life empathy, or I don't know, that's the example of empathy, of being able to recognize shared humanity between.
Shared humanity is exactly where I'm going, and that's actually what the remainder of our podcast is going to be about.
Shared humanity, which is what I'm trying. I mean, I think that is I agree with what you're saying there about the levels of suffering being equal. Yeah. But
And the thing is, I don't even really care about their suffering. That's not what I'm getting to. What I'm getting to is the fucking judges. The people that were actually engaging.
To be reductive about it.
Like they were in a cloud, just able to kind of go, oh, look, this person's death was a minuscule travesty to real suffering. And I hate that. I hate it when I watch people just completely generalize in a way that negates that whole life.
And I would say a part of that again, coming down to ego is a big factor of what motivates that kind of thinking. And because of that, ego kills curiosity. One thing I've thought about, like a big thing of what is leading to more absolutist thinking or binary ways of thinking, is that lack of curiosity. And when I say curiosity, and this is part of what I take with whenever I watch a movie or engage with art, if I engage with a painting or a book or a video game, whatever, the curiosity should begin with asking questions, not demanding answers.
Which is funny, because for the remainder of this podcast, I'm going to actually insist that you provide me with answers. Some things that was right. But go ahead.
I'm trying, but I'm doing it in a roundabout way.
Well, but they'll be very, very specific questions, so it's not like you'll be able to dodge around things. So.
Gotcha.
Okay. That great artistic. Oh well, everything's.
What can I say? That's what I do. But that's a big factor of being curious, and I think people have become less curious, again, due to, like I just said, ego.
Do you know how?
Because I think people want. Sorry,
I keep interrupting you. I should apologize.
It's all good, man. It's your podcast, but because.
But you're the guest. See how we're fighting? Let's go to war in the Ukraine. It's the only solution, Sam. Fuck you for interrupting me.
Sure thing, asshole. Fuck. But because ego is motivating. Ego motivates people to put on airs to a certain degree. We want to feel we are more significant. We're more significant, or like it comes down. Yeah, it's kind of like what you said, that like tribal caveman thing of like, I want to believe I am bigger and better, and that my opinion has, even if I can't beat you if I can't physically beat you, my opinion and my thought has more weight because I really am the one thinking about this sort of thing.
Which is when I see the people with the signs screaming for whatever issue, right or left, but in this instance, the Minnesota thing, I think like all I hear is my grandfather who said the person that screams the loudest has already lost the argument, right? That's like, you know, and I hate that, to use your word, the reduction of, you know, what was the word you said? Anyway, go ahead.
Binary thinking, or
no, it was
compassion death, or
confusion or something. Go ahead. But in conversations, you know, they move. So we'll get back to something here.
Exactly. And that ego, that need to be seen as the more
superior,
to be seen as the superior, exactly, is leading to more and more of a lack of curiosity. Okay. But I think because of that, like, dude, you were saying earlier, this is not a podcast where you want to talk with experts. And if there's one thing I'm not a fucking expert, which is why everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt.
Well, but I also don't want to talk about trivialities. And by that, since you said that you kind of think you know my way of looking at the world and stuff like that, for me, a triviality is a war. For me, a triviality is racism. Okay? For me, a triviality is these things, because I believe that there are solutions to them. And I think that all we do is fight about the trivial issues that should be fucking solved by now, that I get angry when I talk about things, or I turn on the news, or I listen to an album by somebody, and all they're doing is regurgitating the same populist fucking, like, compartmentalized, separating of us coming together fucking bullshit. And, you know, and so let's go ahead, and I want to start the real part of the podcast that I had for you. I told you that I believed when I was 12 years old that humanity could solve every problem in the world. So we're going to do it. You ready?
I'm going to try.
Okay. Because I believe that we have crossed a point as a species where every part of our primate reptilian past has reached the point where we can now do anything we want. And I believe the evolutionary end result of humanity is for us to reach this point so that we can then say we no longer have to recreate that. Okay? It's almost like God being a petty Olympian. If you're God, why are you worried about your wife because you fucked a cow? You know, all these Greek myths and stuff. It's like, you're God. What the fuck? Okay. So
exactly.
So of course it's a parable for human behavior and all this shit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I'm saying is that I believe that human beings, if we have not already, and I believe we have already, but if not, very soon, we're going to go over a line where we are going to literally be able to do anything that we want and take care of every need that any human being will want, and human beings are going to have to figure out what that fucking means and like the behaviors that are going to be fucking unacceptable anymore. So let's start on the first one, food. Do you believe that food is a human right and nobody should have to like pay or struggle for lack of food?
I fully believe
that. So that's like number one on the fucking sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And we now have the ability with robotics and AI and software and Elon Musk and motherfucking Cisco systems and motherfucking this and that and fucking shit.
Fucking exactly. Yeah.
To push a button and have a fucking tractor the size of Chicago go through Kansas.
No,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't give a motherfuck if some dude's family's been farming the plot for fucking 300 years, man. You're a human being and people are dying. Okay?
We have the ability to feed people. We have the resources. We have the means. We have the ability.
If you want to stay a farmer, you can still be a fucking farmer. But we're pushing the button on the tractor, and everybody on Earth is going to have 3 times as much food as they can fucking currently get for $18 for a goddamn fucking fillet. Okay?
Yes.
I don't know about Sam O'Grady, but if you disagree with that solution, you're a monster. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody has to say it, Sam, and like, you know, people like Sietch Ramshackle because I don't fuck around.
I mean, that's why I appreciate being on a podcast. Is like, well,
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if Bill Gates thinks he knows how to grow the greatest fucking soybean on earth. I don't give a shit if old boy in fucking McCordsville, fucking Indiana, like, you know, has pride in his field and shit like that. But we have enough agribusiness farmland in this country to just fucking say, okay, you large predatory vulture sucking human killers, you're out. And we're going to have just an entity that's not even government. It can just be like collaborative. Like every young person dedicates like 2 months out of the year to go to the farm, and then they swim in lakes and they establish human relationships and shit like this.
I will say, provided that we're not also like destroying fucking resources and destroying and polluting fucking everything we have.
So everybody says, Sietch, how can you be an anarchist? And I say, you motherfuckers have been putting people in positions of power over you for fucking the dawn of time. How's that working out for you? I believe that anarchists have a better opinion of their fellow human beings than people, because people who vote and people that believe in government structures believe there has to be a third party controlling entity that stops you. I believe that human beings, given no third party arbitrage, can work out difficulties between each other. The reason I know this is because I see it all the time. Hey, Bob, fuck you, man. You're throwing your shit on my yard. You're right. I'm not going to do it. Or, hey, Bob, you're throwing... I don't give a fuck about you. I'll throw my trash anywhere I want. And then a third person comes and goes, man, you're being kind of a fucking dick. Come on. Like, just work together.
Sure.
Okay. I believe that's true for all of human beings. And people that say, well, the world's so complex and there's so many systems. It's like, I know, but like that's what we're stopping in this conversation. Okay. So that,
I do agree.
I got excited because I really wanted to have this with Sam O'Grady today. Go.
I can tell.
So the food thing, we're in agreement.
We are in agreement. And I think, well, I do agree with you in that we overcomplicate things to a degree where we just kind of stalemate shit, and the stalemate isn't helping us.
Well, yes, and I would also state that we overcomplicate things because the problems that we're trying to solve have already been so fucking overcomplicated that you can't find a fucking simple solution to it, because some guy is going to come in and go, well, aren't you the special naive little dreamer? Right?
I fucking hate that.
I fucking hate that guy too.
Who needs to, like, okay, yes, condescend to me and hold on to this like outdated way of thinking, buddy.
For your profit.
For your profit.
Yeah, because you found your weaselly little fucking way to make your $200K a year.
I'm sorry you've given into this despair. Does that mean I have to?
Yeah. Fuck that guy. That's what's known as an opportunist.
Yeah. Well, and hey, I also want to say, I'm not going to act like I'm a saint, because we're in agreement, and I do think we are like we've, for lack of a better term, solved these issues. But I'm also not going to act like I'm somehow above certain things.
Oh, Sam, I didn't invite you here because you're fucking perfect. Now get over your little fucking, like, I'm a nice guy, so nobody thinks I'm an egomaniac, and we're going to get back to the fucking problem solving, okay?
All right.
So here's the thing, man. Like, to solve a problem, you got to have a problem solver. And to solve a problem, you have to have an executive decision made. And to solve any problem, that doesn't mean you're a corporate shill or a dick. Okay, we're finding solutions to problems. And you can set it in your mind in like an amphitheater where there's a bunch of like really, noble guys that are trying to preserve humanity, if that makes you feel better. But no more of this I'm like not an expert guy shit, okay?
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So, money. Do you believe that money is an archaic form of rewarding loyalty, and that it should be done away with because money no longer has any type of real concrete attributable value, and it's really just a way that can be manipulated so that the people at the top can, make us all feel like we're able to go out and get our PlayStations and our little fucking SUVs and feel like we've done something, and it's no longer linked to like nickel or gold or silver or food or something like that? And if so, if you believe that money now is really just a force, and this is my opinion, I'm not saying you think this, but I'm giving you the setup.
Sure.
If you believe that money no longer has value and is a tool of oppression, which it always has been.
Yeah.
What is the option on how to reward? Because money to me is an energy symbol, and you go out and you exert energy, and for X amount of energy, you're rewarded with X amount of product, which is, in this case, money.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the solution to that? And I'm going to go take a break real quick if you'll talk to the audience, okay?
What do I think is the solution to that?
Yeah, and I'm going to
Oh, my God, man.
Well, I mean, basically, I'm asking you, how do you incentivize people in the absence of money to still be productive and not slothful?
I'm thinking on that.
Yep. This is the first pee break I took mid-podcast.
We finally reached it. Personally.
Yep.
When it comes to... All I can speak for that is from my personal opinion and my own motivations. For myself... I just want to make art. I want to create shit, and I would personally love it if money was not a factor to it. Obviously it is, but like like if that is my motivation for, frankly, my motivation for living and continuing to keep doing shit is creation and curiosity and exploration, and a means of expressing that curiosity and exploration.
And so
I make shit with no motivation of getting. I mean, I'd like to get money.
Well, you like to get money because that's how you get food.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, but I mean, I fucking put shit up on Bandcamp with no expectation that I'm like.
You do that because you're desperate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just here to be like, I mean, the reason people give free art is because they really just want all art to be free, but they put it on Bandcamp because they're like, well, at least this will be seen.
No, exactly. That's exactly it. And like, I just want to make shit and put it out there, and I don't expect like a huge monetary reward for I don't.
Are you capable of waking up every morning and doing something without the expectation that you're going to be giving some sort of a valuable object?
I would say, yeah.
Me too.
I've been doing that for the past fucking 4 or 5 years now.
Okay. So we now have 3D printers that can make houses. We now have 3D printers that can produce enough pasty food to provide for the poorest, impoverished communities of Africa and things like this. We now have a financial system that is based purely on digits that are flying at hyperspeed across people's screens all around the world, and you get this much interest, and in 40 years you'll be able to buy a boat and fuck around and all of this stuff. If we're reaching a point of humanity where nobody has to do these things just to eat or whatever, and if we're trying to find a solution for human beings to stop being murderers and violent and coexist in a utopian future, it would be my opinion that money has to be done away with, and that people are going to have to understand that if you can push a button and have a Ferrari, or if you can push a button and have potatoes,
yeah,
and if you can push a button and have entertainment,
yeah,
what is the need for money? And do you think the people that have been hoarding all of the acorns for the past 4,000 years are going to take that method of control off of us? Because really, man, people just work and people just want money because they're able to exist safely. The more you have, the safer you be. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with any of that?
I would agree with, yeah.
Okay. And would you do away with the concept of money as being the metric stick that shows how successful or how safe you can be? Because there's a big difference between the safety of a millionaire in Beverly Hills than there is with like a gangbanger in Compton.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I would do away with it, but the thing is, like, I'm not sure what I that's the thing. I'm not sure what I would put in its place, or what would substitute that.
Think about it then. Like what so
well, the reason sorry to,
no I'm just see, it's like one of the weird things for me being a podcast host is that, like, I obviously have a lot to say, but a lot of times I just kind of try to prod guests because I get a lot of like people saying that's the way it is, or I don't really know. And so I try to, it's not that I'm interrupting you to try to trump you. I'm just kind of trying to like throw a log on the fire.
I gotcha. No,
and I'm still new to the podcast thing.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. No, I appreciate that you do that. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, if I'm going to think about that, the system of like money being the way I survive has been, I've been living with that fucking my entire life, as well as fucking everyone else. But
well, and if you were the entirety of humanity, if Sam O'Grady represented every human being who ever lived, that statement would still be true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, if now the option is brought to mind of like, hey, money is no longer the thing that you need to survive, and you will be able to live comfortably. That's
not just comfortably, luxuriously.
That's the thing. Like, it's difficult for me to wrap my mind around.
If we converted every factory on Earth to the notion of actually being supportive to human beings as a communal family, rather than shitting out money products for people to be like isolated into special groups, every factory on Earth right now could provide every human being with every luxury item and every necessity tomorrow.
I feel like in order for that, the reason that is in place is because, again, it's a matter of that superiority thing, the ego thing and the ego thing of billionaires. Like, they fucking love that they have this power over us.
And they know better than you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, fucking, they love having this power over us.
Well, and people love having power over them. It's one of those sad
Yeah.
things as an artistic person that we all have to kind of realize is sadly most people just want bullshit pop music.
I think you're right on that, maybe to a degree, because some people don't necessarily know what else is out there, or. But I mean, I don't know. Going back to the superiority thing, I feel like in order to quell that, there needs to be some degree of like hard ego death, and I'm not sure.
Well, isn't that better than compassion, empathy, death?
100%.
Yeah, there's another agreement
Duh.
for the Constitution.
Duh, like ego death, but I'm not like how would we? I'm wondering like, okay, how are we going to distribute that ego death?
Well, and that's a tricky one for me because I am fiercely an individualist, and I will be goddamned if somebody ever thinks that they. I have a song that says, "By what earthly authority makes you think you have some sort of power over me?" And my song Gavel Slam.
Yeah.
That's literally the first page of my personal Bible. Like, fuck you. Like, seriously. Like,
But I think a lot of people have that. Too.
Yeah.
Like that is the individualist kind of creed in a way.
And then they crush you and crush you and crush you and crush you. And maybe I'm just fortunate that I've reached this ripe old age where I'm still like, I'm almost saltier now. Like, I'll go up to a tank in Tiananmen Square. Like, I'm that guy.
Well, I feel like the reason people gain that individualist creed is because of people attempting to crush you more and more and more, and like needing the strength to say fuck off.
I think we're showing
Needing the
our
strength
bubble. Because I have to go back to statistics, and I have to just say, like, this might be a moment where I have to put a break on our artistic ego and say we're talking about a very small percentage of the human population that is ruggedly individualistic like that. We're just used to artists.
Yeah.
But if you walk around Istanbul, Turkey, you will see millions upon tens of millions of people who are literally eking by on chestnuts and fucking $4 a day. That
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
And they would love it if somebody came in and said, "Okay, here's a fucking house for you." Like, they wouldn't say, "Who are you, government? I can do it on my own. I'm individualistic."
Yeah.
Yeah. Tricky.
Incredibly. And I wish I had answers, and I really don't.
Well, I do if you want.
Sure.
There has to be an absolute abolition of all money. Money is the largest weapon that has ever been directed towards our species by people. It's worse than nuclear weaponry, biological weaponry, anything like that. Money has been consistently the source of so much human tragedy and suffering that if we have the ability, if we have evolved to the point where we have created machinery, like a monkey creates a way to get a banana out of a fucking tree, and this is our evolutionary survival mechanism, and our brains evolved so that we could be at this state. We need to understand that those evolutionary traits need to be applied to humanity as a whole without extortion.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with
Then
that.
that's in the book. What we fell into a little bit there was trying to explain why the people with the egos would never let it happen, or why people are led so easily, which is why I say I'm trying to find solutions, because you're right on all of those, and those are the questions that I said were trivial. If there is a guidebook about what is honorable and what is proper for the human species to get to, then those problems will be solved by war or by compassion or a bunch of nice people killing a bunch of bad people. I don't care how you all solve it. Because I got no problem loving a motherfucker or killing a motherfucker. But the point is there has to be a fucking goal. And that goal has to be kindness.
There has to be yes. There has to be some principle at the core of it. And that principle ideally, like, I'm just regurgitating what you just fucking said.
Dude, I am so sad. Like, everybody's like, Sietch Ramshackle, the hard-ass motherfucker. I just said motherfucker, right? Yeah. But, like, I get fucking depressed when I see sadness in a human being's eyes. When I was Christmas shopping and I saw some kid behind the fucking register, and I looked at my son and I said, that guy has to be here for 8 hours. And my son was listening to the music and watching all the bitchy ass customers, and I was like, that 8 hours is going to be an eternity for that fucking kid, and it's going to affect his life choices, and it's going to change his fucking view on his fellow human beings. And I made this like soap opera out of this fucking kid behind the register.
See, that's curiosity and empathy showing.
Right.
I think more. Well, also your curiosity and empathy showing that I wish more people had, but I also wish more people would be willing to inform themselves better. And in order to inform yourself, you have to have that starting position of what if I'm wrong about something? That starting position of like is there a possibility that I'm wrong? And how can I fix that? There, one of my Facebook friends, I think very astutely put it, where never admitting you're wrong is not the same as being right. And
that's a very deep statement. It sounds like a cliche fortune cookie kind of a statement, but that's actually a very, very real, heavy statement.
Absolutely. And I there's this book I'm maybe not going to watch as many movies this year. I want to read more just because I'd like to be a little more literate, a little more well-informed rather than just relying on the boob tube.
There's a lot of there's a lot of mileage on those pages, man. Like when you get to a place where you're like, I've probably turned 40,000, 50,000, 180,000 pages. It feels good.
No, I mean, I'm feeling that right now. I've finished my first book of the year, Heliogabalus by Antonin Artaud.
See, that's why Sam's a guest.
Interesting book, but one of the books on my docket this year is this book by a guy named Chuck Klosterman.
Yeah.
It's titled "What If We're Wrong."
I think I have it at my attic.
Really?
But go ahead.
I'm planning on reading that because just from the title alone, that is something I wish more people considered about.
Klosterman was the guy who was really big into like pop culture, and he wrote a couple books on like Marvel comics and like
the
I read 1980s culture. Yeah,
read one of his books. I Wear the Black Hat. That's I love that book. It's a fascinating examination of why we are attracted to evil or villainy in fiction or in the arts or in pop culture.
In our primate reptilian brains that we're trying to dodge around now that we have become hyperhumans, the villain and the evil person and the strong person capable of great violence is the one that kept the tribe safe in the cave. And so all things of glorifying violence and glorifying villainy and glorifying Vladimir Putin and glorifying Joseph Stalin and all of these things,
I see.
At least they'll keep us safe in the cave.
I see.
I wish I could be him because Vladimir Putin gets more women than me. It's all this reptilian shit, dude. Ugh.
And envy and a certain shadow archetype I feel is playing into that as well. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to reading that book by Chuck Klosterman.
Do it.
But I'm fully planning on it. But anyway, if I don't have answers for the problems of all of life, but I do have answers for the self, or I do have.
It's not helpful for this conversation.
Suggestion.
But lay it on the crowd.
It starts with the self. If I'm looking to change shit, that starts with me, and y'all should be saying that too. It starts with me. And I just want to encourage, be more curious, be more considerate, be more open to the lives of others, be more interested. Maintain curiosity is ultimately what I want to end this with. Maintain curiosity and maintain intrigue.
Absolutely.
That keeps us going. That keeps us living, and that's part of why we have lived as long as we have.
I would disagree with that, but that's your thought on the matter. So I'm gonna let it percolate across. So it's you're here.
I feel it's a part of it, I think, but what do I know?
I think we're here because we were really good at killing everything else around us.
Well,
and that's why we're such different people, Sam. Because I mean I love you. Like, I love your heart. I love your ability to separate what's important from what's obviously just garbage. But at the end of the day, the only reason we have the ability to have this conversation about how do we stop being so violent and awful is because that's what got us here in the first place.
True. I mean, with that, I mean, I certainly don't think I could. I don't think I'm as nonviolent. Or, like, when I was younger, I was a hardcore pacifist, and like nowadays, I'm not.
Do you want to see how good a podcast host I've become? That's what I know as a setup. Right? Okay. So the next one is violence. Can we just completely, you and I, agree that violence is never acceptable from this point moving forward into this situation? Just like money or just like food and all these things. Bye, Animo. That's my wife leaving for work.
See, do you want
it? And this is the big one for me, right? When we start talking about this, because the arts is great until Hitler throws it all onto a bonfire, or food is great until a warlord in Somalia uses it as a weapon, and so his rivals don't get the USAID funds and stuff like this, but his guys with guns and methamphetamines get all the food. So there are all these things, like I said, that are trivial. Because if you're going to find solutions to the entire human history of tragedy and catastrophe, it's like Joseph Stalin. He said, one death's a tragedy, 20 million is a statistic. Yeah. So I have to trivialize things because I see them as a symptom of an illness.
Sure.
So for me, violence absolutely has to stop. And this is what I mean by that. If you wake up in the morning and you go outside and you decide you're going to shoot somebody for his pack of cigarettes,
sure,
you're gone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess, I guess the question is then, like, how are we defining, like, obviously, that...
No, finish it. How are we defining what?
That form of violence, yeah, I agree with you. But if we're all, like, what about, I don't know, larger scale violence?
Absolutely. So how do we solve that? Because the only people that are going to want to commit large-scale violence against the notion of actually feeding and housing and taking away the stresses of your average human being in a compassionate and empathetic way are probably going to be motherfuckers that need to be violently dealt with.
Exactly.
And that's a big problem.
Like, it's you almost put yourself in a catch-22 with that.
Not really. Okay, so let's get to the idea of kindness and property. Okay, so for me personally, and this isn't one of the overall solutions, this is just a Sietch opinion. The one thing that I hold is absolutely sacred above all other things is property. And this is what I mean by that. If somebody feels like every day somebody's going to be able to repossess their car, or if somebody feels like every day somebody's not going to give them enough money so they can get food for their family of four, or if somebody feels like they're not free to travel somewhere and they've always wanted to go to the Dakotas but they don't have enough property to get there, and somebody takes the gasoline out of their car and all these things. So property for me isn't about this is my shit and I earned it and I paid my taxes. Property for me is like my first human right. And this is what I mean by that. I only believe in one crime. And that crime, and people have heard me say this in the music scene and all this, but I say there's nothing worse than a thief.
Yeah.
Okay. A rapist is a theft of sexuality. A murderer is a theft of life. Every crime can go towards thievery.
I see.
Every single one. And so as we overcomplicate things and we say, no, this is murder in the 4th degree. Well, murder in the 2nd degree certainly was a lot less fucking awful, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my base thing. So as we were talking about violence and kindness, for me, it always has to go down to the respect of an individual's property. And the ultimate property, and then I'm done. But, I mean, we have to have setups.
Sure. Yeah.
The ultimate property is one's life. My body and my life is my property, and nobody gets to tell me what to do with it unless I am a thief. Now, do you see how I summed up an entire philosophical, spiritual, Thomas Aquinas, the Bible, the Quran, Nietzsche,
Yes.
all this? Okay. Nobody can tell me what to do with my property because my ultimate property is my own life. And
Yes,
so, therefore, every crime against me is theft.
I see that.
Okay,
I
discuss it now, and I'm done talking. But it's a big principle because I think that the human race has to make decisions like that. Like, what exactly is the base thing? So,
I agree with that. I agree with the base of your
premise.
The base of your premise. I agree with the base of your premise that like life itself, I am entitled to my life. I especially like if we are brought into this world without our consent, as all life is kind of brought into this world, no one can consent to being alive. So as long as I have my life, I am kind of by right owed
The captain of the ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
You brought me here.
You selfish bastard. How dare you take the eternal vacuum of the universe and consider that you have some sort of a say. Artist.
Exactly.
We were talking about violence.
Violence. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, and I told you why I think violence has to stop, because property is so I want to see if you agree with it, or if there's another reason for violence to stop, like maybe it sucks.
I think violence will, in order to reach a better world and a better life, the obvious forms of the obvious form of violence, like murder. Go ahead. Obvious form of violent murder and fucking torture. Well, obviously, that has to be done away with. But I also think of gonna bring up another film I love, one of my favorites, top 10, Stalker.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
There's a question. one of the main characters
That was the one
asks,
that's like set in Eastern Europe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a question one of the characters asks at the beginning. The premise of Stalker is like these guys are trying to go to this zone.
It was a video game, wasn't it?
They famously made a video.
Okay, now I'm done.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
Stalker.
Stalker.
Made a video game.
Go for it.
Sorry, they are trying to reach this zone, the interior of which, if they get to the heart of this interior, they will be granted their deepest desire.
Risk reward.
And one character asks, like it's hard. Like, how do I know exactly what that is? Because consciously, I'd want everyone to become vegetarian or vegan. But
I would like to enforce that because I think it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, I'd love a slab of meat.
Dichotomy.
Exactly.
Duality. Yin yang.
And I think very much yin yang. Shoulder angel, shoulder devil.
Well, and isn't one of the problems with art that, what you just said is an absolutely compelling outline or discussion of what I just said is trivial stuff. Like, right? It's like, literally I want you to understand that part about this, because I'm not trivializing what we're all doing in life. It just seems to me that we're all just bouncing this tennis ball back around about things that are either interesting or perfect. And if we could just engineer society this way, everybody's going to be happy. But we're still going to have the people in the marble buildings because that's how we're engineered.
Sure.
And stuff. So Stalker, if you go here, I want to be vegetarian, but I want a slab of beef. What is the message of that, though? Like, what did you get from that artistically? Or was it just like, oh, that is like the duality of man? Like, what can you do?
Well, on some level, I do get a bit of that, like, that is the duality of man. Mm-hmm. I have felt that, I don't know,
I just felt like a real pretentious French guy from 1920.
No.
Because I've never smoked a cigarette that way, and I looked at you and I went...
Here's what. No. Make it real pretentious. Put it between your fucking pinky and this finger.
Do you know how the pretentious guys in Paris smoke? They actually smoke like this.
I've seen
and they go. Too. That's how you know the guy you're talking to is a fucking douche. All right.
Well, I was gonna say the pinky and this finger one. I think.
Show me.
Bob Dylan's.
Oh no. Yeah. So pinky and this one, but outside like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob Dylan's manager used to do that for some reason. It's like, okay, fuck it, why not?
Yeah. Okay, so Stalker.
Anyway, Stalker.
So duality.
That is a duality of man thing, and
but how many stories of fucking duality and awfulness about human beings do we need before we solve problems? I told you I wasn't going to let shit slide, Sammy. Like, I think that's great.
I don't know. And I don't know how many.
Any interpretation of a tree is exactly the same as an interpretation of the flaws within the human condition, right? So sure, I love watching.
Before we start, actually solving these problems, I think I know what you mean.
We could have podcasts where we just talk about the fuckery of human beings nonstop. That's what anybody does. You turn on the news, you turn on Joe Rogan, you turn on all this. They're interesting, they're special, they're cool. Every once in a while, you're like, wow, that's stranger than fiction. That's an amazing story. I'm going to tell that at the coffee shop.
Sure.
Right? But it's like, okay, we get it. Like, since literal Greek fucking mythology, we understand.
No, exactly.
So personally, I'm disinterested. I have read so many interesting things and so many interesting interpretations that with Sammy O'Grady boy today, my buddy, I'm like, no, this, I can't find one flaw in this argument, right? So violence should just not happen, right?
Ultimately.
Oh, yeah, how many times people have said ultimately? Like, give me a fucking date, man. The train has to come. I'm sitting on the bus.
I can't tell you the date because I'm not the conductor. I'm just a passenger.
But you are. You didn't have a choice of life, man. You were born into a dark universe where you had to figure the shit out. And I'm asking you, I ain't asking the Pope. Fuck that fucking conflict of interest looking motherfucker. Yeah. I'm not asking Donald Trump or Putin. I'm not asking fucking Ho Chi Minh. I'm not asking Beyonce or Jay-Z.
You're asking me.
Yeah. Should all violence stop as of this moment? Like, if you could... would you say there should never be violence towards another human being because each human being is special and unique? I mean, you're an artist, dude. That's your whole point.
I agree with that.
Okay.
No violence. Oh, fair. Yeah. No, I agree with that. End of violence against other human beings.
Okay. So what do we do with the ones that don't agree with that? Right? Do we commit violence against them?
That's this is where I've just put my foot in my mouth.
But no. The answer to the problem has been agreed upon.
The answer to the...
Not the answer to the problem of the answer to the problem.
The answer to the problem... We were talking... Sorry.
I mean, if I were to go back to my philosophy major, I was a philosophy applied physics major. If I were to do the ergo this then that fucking mathematical side of philosophy, I'd say we just said that nobody should ever commit violence. Therefore, you can't not commit violence to a person that commits violence, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's the golden rule, right? Turn the other cheek, fucking do unto others, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Rotten egg. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm enough of a lover of the human species that I personally would say, okay, as of this now, there is a universal, humanly agreed upon law that nobody can ever hurt somebody physically ever again. And if you do, I'll kill you. Like, I'll be that guy. And if human beings was like, hey, we'll just let Sietch take care of all them motherfuckers, like, I would gladly accept that role. But at the end of the day, I have a different philosophy because I do believe that if you kill all of the bad people, all that will be left is good people. So many people say, oh, but don't you understand? You're becoming just like them. Don't you understand? Okay, that's philosophical nonsense.
Fucking.
Okay.
There's a point where Batman should kill the fucking Joker.
If there are 16 chips in a fucking bowl, there's enough chips for 16 motherfuckers, unless one guy decides he wants to.
I see exactly what you're talking about now.
Okay.
No.
Is there a way
fair.
to not kill them? That's what I want to hear from you, Sam, because I'll go through the world with a fucking flamethrower.
I don't know if there is a way to not kill
Well, let's
them.
talk about it.
I don't know if there is.
Do we incarcerate them? Because now we're taking away their individual liberty and their property, their freedom to use their own property.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know how well that's necessarily worked out in the long run for them or for society.
A guy locked in a cage never molests a kid again.
If we're talking about incarcerating them for life, in that case, like,
well, I mean, why have a law that says
exactly.
you can't do this if somebody does it and they're not punished forever? Like, I mean,
no,
it's like
in that instance, yeah, no, I'm behind you on that.
Okay. Oh my God! Did one of my artistic friends just say they're for incarcerating somebody forever? That's awesome. I love it.
I'm for incarcerating a child molester.
Okay. If somebody kills somebody because they felt like it, do you believe that person has abdicated their right to operate in a human society? They woke up and they said, I just really want to know what it's like to experience killing a fucking innocent human being.
No, I would actually have to agree with that.
Okay. What about somebody who's having a really bad day, lost control of their psychological faculties, and killed somebody out of a brief crime of passion or anger?
The compassionate side of me says we should examine that human being. That person should be perhaps taken to
re-education.
Maybe some not re-educate. I don't know. I want to say,
but see, that's why I love you, Sam, because
mental health facility. But I mean, like,
you want to help him. That's why I love you, and that's why I'm coming up with solutions with you.
I believe human beings generally as being capable of redemption, and I want, like,
except the one that was killed.
Except the one that was killed.
Yeah, they can't be redeemed because the guy killed him, right?
Exactly.
See how tricky it gets.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I want redemption to be a path and an option for.
Why does that
people.
guy get the benefit of redemption after having taken away somebody's complete property, their life? Why did human beings come up with a notion of redemption? Now we're going to get into the deep giggle weeds, because this all goes back to violence.
Yes.
Like, this all goes back to thievery being the ultimate form of violence. Okay. So why does that person, and why does the human species consider it to be a gift to allow somebody who has done something atrocious and against the rules to find redemption? What does that do? Because to me, that's almost biblical. It's like saying everybody's a sinner, but everybody can be welcomed by God in heaven. And so that notion of redeeming a criminal, to me, reeks of servitude to the church.
I see.
Yeah, man.
No, I mean, exactly. I understand that, and again, this is why I say like ultimate. I don't know, redemption or peace or whatever you want to call it. Like self betterment and betterment of others starts with me, and I need to examine, which is part of the reason why I'm interested in that quote unquote duality of man. It is a manner of acknowledging what we call that yin yang, that shoulder angel, shoulder devil thing. You have to acknowledge it.
The contradictions.
But in making the choice for the better, it's in a lot of ways easier. So easy to do do the uglier thing for personal gratification.
See, but no, I have to disagree with you on that. I think it's actually a noble side of the human character. I think that people that want to help redeem somebody who has made a very bad mistake are playing God. And I think what they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to be the thing that changes you.
The savior. I see.
It's a martyr complex. And I think all of the notion of human jurisprudence, legal issues, all goes down to people thinking that because God doesn't love me and because I'm powerless, I'm going to make myself God by saying I bestow upon you the gift of redemption. And so now come suckle at my fucking holy tit. Okay? And again, that's where I get a little anarchistic and dirty and why a lot of people look at me funny when I start talking about things, but fuck that guy.
Sure.
Okay. And so my solution would be this. My solution would be if we have just agreed that the ultimate property right is the right that you have to have your life free from theft.
Yeah.
And all of this. If somebody kills you, it's up to the family because the family is the beneficiary of your property. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's like a will. It's like a last will and testament. And if that family wants to redeem this person, go for it. If the family wants that guy to be hung by his fucking toenails, go to it.
I'd have to agree.
Okay. And again, that's the philosopher in me. If this, then that, and if this true, then this and that. Okay. And so if we're agreeing that a human being is property and that's their sacred property, then the person who needs to make a decision about the theft of that property isn't a cop.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely not a cop.
So that's an agreement?
That's an agreement.
So if somebody killed a guy, you would be cool with the family saying, put him back into society. So what happens if you kill somebody else? Then the other family decides to kill him, right? You did it once. You got your redemption.
And yeah. I suppose, in my opinion, I guess that is the case. Like, you did it once, you get your redemption, and then do it twice, and in my opinion, I guess you've thrown that redemption away.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we just eliminated the entire justice system.
Okay.
Bravo.
Hurrah.
So if a guy goes into the house and steals something, does that equal death? Or is that, again, the families? Because now we're talking about a fucking loaf of bread. Guy came in, stole a loaf of bread, gave it to his fucking dog.
What you're saying, does this man deserve death?
Is all theft equal of the same punishment?
No. I do not think so.
So that is obviously one of those that I predicted was going to be the big obstacle in our discussion. Explain to me why.
I do not believe that...
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
3, 2, 1. So Sam O'Grady, I think that we've had a great podcast. We're going to go ahead and continue to solve the problems of the universe together at later times. But let's focus on the last one, which is because we've gotten rid of food, we've gotten rid of money.
Yes.
Okay, and we've now established that violence is unacceptable for the future of humanity.
Yes.
You were just about to explain to me why you think that the punishments should not be the same for one type of theft, which is the theft of a life, versus the theft of a loaf of bread.
The theft of a loaf of bread, well, I mean, one, quite simply, that's not the theft of my life. If I come home and... Hell, let me take this to another example. If I come home and find that someone has stolen my guitars and my synthesizers, even the cables that go with them, I think that person ought to receive some form of punishment. Ideally, I'd like my shit back, because you can at least return those things to me. Yeah. That can be, the stealing of a life you cannot return.
It's a classic line in cop movies, right?
Yeah.
You can replace things, you can't replace a life.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my attitude toward
it. So what happens to somebody that is a thief of anything other than a life? Because we both agreed that like life is like the big boy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like say they steal. What about rape? The theft of somebody's right to choose a sexual partner, right?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, does that equal the family making up a mind?
Quite possibly in my mind, but I mean, that's
what about rape of a child?
To me, that is like the. In some ways, I would almost consider that like worse than death, and that's subjective, of course, but
So-
I think like that's about as bad as it would fucking get, man.
So murder and molestation fall into the category of the individual family decides the punishment for the person.
Murder and molestation of a child. I mean,
Right.
well, even molestation just in general, but like it's I don't know. It's
But
like,
but
it's just-
definitely for a certain age group where it's just a complete fucking crime against humanity.
yes.
So those are the two big dogs. All right. So what about rape?
Rape itself, obviously, that's a massive one.
Mm-hmm.
Family, I think obviously the victim should get to decide. The victim is obviously still like alive and is still enduring the trauma of that.
I love the idea of victim as judge. Once guilt is firmly established, just as we do now with a jury of our peers, which is often kind of dicey, if you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of fuckery with lawyers and shit. But if to everybody in the community's satisfaction, they say, no, this occurred and this is the person that did it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of victim as judge. Because what that allows is true humanity. It allows redemption. It allows forgiveness. It allows justice and punishment if the person's like, yeah, kill the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can you think of anything else that would fit into that category of that severity? Because obviously if somebody accidentally kills somebody, the word accident exists.
Exactly. And I don't know. That
But think about how sick we are. There are people that are like, oh, there was a car accident. I want that guy to give me $15 million and I want him to spend 13 years in jail for involuntary homicide.
exactly.
That's
Like,
sick.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
No, it's that's the thing. Like when we are getting into accident, obviously now we're getting into the conversation of willfulness and intent. Because I mean, I'll personally say I'm a fuck up. I fuck up things a lot, completely unintentionally.
Yeah.
And if I were to receive punishment for every single fuck up, I would be a pretty diminished human being.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those punishments are deserved, some not as much. I think that's part of is if I have gone, I don't know, if I'm able to be forgiven and or forgive myself and say, and because I mean, there's, it's a cliche, but there's that old Beatles song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. There's the line, with every mistake we must surely be learning. I don't know if that's the case with every single human being.
That was Darwin's favorite song.
Darwin? Charles Darwin?
Evolution. Like every mistake we grow a tail.
Okay, I gotcha. I was like, Darwin was a Beatles fan?
I don't think.
Yeah, Darwin really fucking loved Sgt.
Unless he
Pepper's.
was a time traveler or something.
Sure. But I would hope that for most of us, we are able to learning from mistakes is that is literally how progress happens. The first step is to acknowledge those mistakes, maybe acknowledge how those mistakes were made, and then take measures to do better.
Human moment.
Human moment.
That's why I invited you on the podcast, and that's why I decided to have my most serious conversation with Sam O'Grady, okay? Because this is what I'm trying to get to on a personal level, is this idea. I'm a lover of human goodness. I'm a despiser of human bad.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's why I got into so many fistfights with guys at bars. I don't like bad guys.
No. Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel a duty to stop them or to educate them. Yeah, like what's the old story? You know, that this guy's acting like this because he hasn't been punched in the fucking nose enough, right? Like that's kind of my personal philosophy.
Sure.
But this is why I love you, and I'm going to end the podcast on this if it's okay with you. You're a wonderful human being. All of these things that I've been talking about with a little bit of levity, a little bit of bravado, a little bit of whatever, because it has to be entertaining.
Sure.
The statements that you just made about progress, and I would hope that, somebody would learn from their mistakes and all that. If you get rid of hunger, if you get rid of violence, if you get rid of money, if you get rid of the primate need to compete and to kill each other to get ahead so that you can have, more breeding opportunities and all these things, I would like to think that all of the other little problems would be settled by people of conscience. And I think that if everybody is not scrabbling after the same leg bone, and if everybody's not trying to get the job above them so that they can have a better house and wherever, I honestly think that would be a return to the notion of human beings needing to be something exceptional to each other and to be honorable and to be people of character. Because the entire course of human history has been, how do we separate ourselves from nature? How do we say, okay, no, we're not going to be grizzly bears in the woods. We're going to form democracy in Greece, and we're going to talk about individual liberties, and we're going to write the Magna Carta, and we're going to talk about all of these wonderful things. You talked about age earlier.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet people. I once met somebody who was born 3 years after the Civil War. Okay,
Holy
so
shit.
there's these different. She was ancient, but I mean, she
Yeah.
had And I've always tried to explain things to like this to my son. Men back in the day were seen as being patriarchal and all these things, and many were. I'd say the majority, probably. But the idea of a gentleman was not them saying, oh, we're superior and all of this. I believe, and I've seen in life, men who operated like this, that the idea of being a gentleman was because they understood the absolute darkness that men were capable of.
Yes.
And so the whole idea of opening a door, or the whole idea of this thing, or the whole idea of dedicating 50% of your inheritance to charity, to schools for the blind, and things like this, is that those men knew by just dealing with other men that there was a fragile, hair-thick line between a man who was good and a fucking warlord.
Yeah. I have to agree with that.
And all of those good men were men who were holding that part of them back out of a sense of honor and human progression towards a society where women wouldn't have to fear Jack the Ripper anymore.
Sure.
So anyway, so I don't seem like I'm talking too much at the end. I just wanted to point that out because all of these funny little solutions that I'm coming to, the reason I want to do them is because of those trivial fucking things of fuckery. All of the examples we could talk about, this little bit of inhumanity or that little bit of inhumanity and this fuck what do you do. And I just want people to go back to saying, oh, wait, I can wake up and actually focus on being a good member of my human community, my human family, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
that's the ideal. That is the ideal.
That is the only. That is the only way our species is ever going to be something but a fucking happy monkey experiment, man. Yeah. And I'm tired of us all sitting back on sofas saying, I'm so happy being a lucky fucking monkey. You know, because you and I are artists. And this is our human moment, man.
Exactly. And
how scared are people of actually talking about that? Because they're like, I'm cool with violence and all that because it's in the inner city. I'm safe here, so I'm going to commit my little violence by mocking a girl in the back of the church because she didn't do her hair right and she must be a bitch, cunt, hoe. Like all of these insidious, petty, violent.
And I'm happy having this conversation with you because you're somebody who you've said enough about me, and obviously you're an incredibly compassionate man, and you have a love and an interest in humanity and a desire for us to be better as a species. Like you were just saying.
I expect more.
To expect more.
I didn't come into this universe to fucking deal with amateurs, man. Like, let's solve these fucking problems.
Nobody wants to come into this universe dealing with amateurs. But I keep wheeling back around to that personal responsibility thing. Yeah. That starts with me not being an amateur. That starts with me needing to not be an amateur. And I hate to say, but like sometimes I am a fucking happy monkey. Like after a long ass day of work where things are relatively like it's petty shit in the grand scheme of things. But I will come from a long day of work as like, dude, fuck it. I want to get on my couch and watch something. Not even a movie. I just want to watch like a dumb bullshit exploitation movie from the fucking set. I want to watch fucking Blackula or watch fucking some gory horror movie from the fucking 80s.
Yeah. And you should, as long as it's seen as not something that could actually happen. Like that's the weird thing. Like, you know, I see advanced human beings that are watching like slasher flicks and they're actually enjoying them because they're not being triggered by some sort of like, oh, that could really happen to me if I turn down that corner.
Yeah,
like that fear.
It's weird. It's a release of a cathartic release of like that dark, weird primate part of your surreal imagination, like putting shit in there, and that's fun. Yeah, that can be a nice release, and it can be entertaining as hell.
How much of the awfulness in people do you think is just because they say something like, "Well, if that guy got away with it, why can't I?"
You know
see what I'm saying?
That's how a lot of fucking serial killers start. That's how,
Well,
I'm
because
pretty
they
sure
model
that's
themselves after a fucking pharmaceutical CEO who's probably got more of a fucking body count than fucking Ted Bundy ever could have aspired to.
That's the weirdest thing, and I think that's again coming down to the part of like why people are like weirdly, like, I wouldn't say like identifying themselves with the millionaires is like because they want to be that guy.
Yeah.
They like
well,
my
of
god,
course,
he's
who
got
doesn't want to have a fucking beautiful wife that they don't let? Go ahead.
fucking.
I mean,
But they want that power. It's like, oh my god, he can just do that. Like,
But that's that.
It's like, oh my god, I want to be able to just do that.
But that's that pettiness, man. That's what all those gentlemen from the 1920s were isolating themselves from. Because back then, if they saw some dude going around flaunting his fucking money and fucking over Joe, who had like a mom and pop deli that had been there for 40 fucking years,
yeah.
and the gentleman would say, "Hey, you, big money fuck." Get the fuck away from
my
Bob.
fucking shorts.
And then they would give Bob all of their business.
Yeah.
But see, now we're wrapped into money as reward and stuff, so it's like a horrible fucking analogy.
Exactly. Well, I mean, no, it's a circular thing. But I mean, like, I deserve to be a fucking billionaire because all I would be doing.
Why do you deserve to have a billion green pieces of paper?
I'm joking when I say
okay.
I'm hard joking. But if I had that, like, I'd just be like funding all of my friends' weird art projects.
Right.
Like someone could just come, even if it's like not serious. Someone could come up to me and say, "Hey Sam, I want to make a thing. It's gonna be dumb. I need like $1 million. Boom, go make a thing."
See, what I would like is everybody goes to the communal,
Create.
the communal rectangle in the center of the town, and they push the button that says, "Provide me with this type of paint color, so that I can go home and create my masterpiece without needing to worry about fuckery or investors or coming to my buddy and say, hey man, I can't do it myself."
Can I please just have that?
You can, and okay. So to end the podcast, my whole point to this podcast is I believe we can, and I believe we could do it right now. I believe if we all fucking stop, okay, like legit. Why do we have to keep going? We have this terminal momentum as a species. And it's like the snowball going down the fucking hill, and at the bottom of the hill is a little child called all of us. Right?
Yes.
Why are we directing our fucking death towards us as a little fucking child at the bottom of the hill? I told you I was an artist. I got to do something fucking fancy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, this metaphor. Okay. But like I wish everybody had exposure to this statement. Let's all stop. Let's all go to the center of our respective towns. Let's meet each other. Let's say, yeah, I agree that this shouldn't happen. Violence, money, authoritarian fucking regime, and all that. Okay. And then, like, not disperse back to our houses and go, well, that was fucking weird, and that guy's a fucking naive dreamer and all that. I'm going to go back to working for $16 an hour for a big motherfucker that's got $1 billion in the fucking bank and all that.
Exactly.
Why? Why don't we? That's the last question, then we're gone.
Why don't we? Normalization, I'd say a certain routine, like, the routine we've fallen into it's a type of comfort. And it's not a good comfort, but it's a comfort. It's like, okay, well, at least I don't have to deal with things. I feel like that's a big part of, like, what the bullshit that kind of happened with COVID is an upending of that normalization. Or upending of a certain normalization is, through routine, we are able to coast through life and not be on high alert. But in order to progress, some of this normalization we're going to have to fucking get rid of.
I don't think we're Pavlovian dogs. I think we're Pavlovian dogs because we let ourselves be.
I mean,
is that a summation that resonates a little bit?
I would actually agree with that.
So the problem is people that create Pavlovian dogs.
Yes.
In the book, get rid of the people that think that they can engineer human beings for their own benefit. Yeah.
Fully agreed.
Mr. Sam O'Grady. Sam O'Grady, without a doubt, and shut up, without a doubt, one of the greatest human beings I've ever encountered, and I've met a lot of you. Without a doubt, one of the most shining examples of human interestedness, meaning I'm interested in the person that's in front of me. One of the kindest souls I've ever met, and one of the people most deserving of being allowed to live the life that he wants to choose to live. Mr. O'Grady.
Mr. Ramshackle, you're not half bad yourself. Later.